Welcome, everyone, for another episode of Live Well Sister. This is your girl, Marcie L. Thomas, and I am really excited to be with you this evening as we're going to have a wonderful conversation that I'm sure is going to encourage you along your health journey. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with me, I am the founder of Brown Girl Collective, which has been around for about 10 years. 14 years now. And it's been a wonderful space to just celebrate Black women and the things that they are doing to make their lives better. So in this particular platform, as you saw in the opening video, we talk about anything ranging from our health and wellness to spiritual life to just anything that helps us to live better. And tonight's special guest is actually going to help us really dive into that conversation. So by means of introduction, our special guest for this evening is Jacqueline Glass of At the Well Incorporated. And she is the creative mind behind the Sistahs At the Well annual conference and so many other things. Now, through her nonprofit organization, she organizes events, retreats, and symposiums that provide support in all aspects of someone's life, including some of the ones we talk about here: physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. She is a lifestyle coach who uses her personal story of healing to encourage women to make the necessary changes to prolong their lifespans with proper nutrition and exercise, and so much more. And we're going to get into this a little later, but she is also currently working on a forthcoming documentary, Sistahs At the Well, Inspiring Change, that centers on Black women's health and wellness. And without any further delay, please welcome Jacqueline Glass.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Marcie, for having me on your show.
Oh, yes. It's such a pleasure to have you here. We have been working in some other capacities, and I figure it's great to have you come on and talk to us with Live Well Sister, because the things that you are into are the things that we're into here.
Feeling blessed. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So now, of course, you had your life journey and you've been involved in many things over the years. Some of the things we didn't even get into yet, but what was it that made you determine that you needed to focus more on your health and then come into a space of being able to share your journey and all with other women?
So, Marcie, probably around, I'd say 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, hyperthyroid, diabetes, and high cholesterol. The doctor wanted to put me on 5 different medications. So instead of immediately starting the medications, I said, give me a moment, let me make some shifts, let me make some changes. I joined a program at Whole Food called the Wellness Program.
Okay.
And I would go there once, twice a week. They would cook food that was mostly plant-based. They would provide education. They would provide books, videos, and they would provide community. So as a community, I sat with some folks that had stage 3 or stage 4 cancer. I sat with a butcher who was overweight and he lost 150 pounds, plant-based. I sat with people twice a week that were getting healthier through food and nutrition. So after about 6 to 12 weeks on the program, I went back to the doctor. I got my blood work, and the doctor said, this medicine is really working. It's doing great. Your numbers are awesome. Your numbers are, better than they were. Your diabetes is reversed. I told her I never even filled the prescription. I showed her the prescription. I never filled the prescription.
Wow.
What I did, I made style changes of food as medicine, and I got the information that I needed to live a healthier lifestyle. So that was 12 years ago. And I didn't stay on the lifestyle because, as things go, life gets stressful. We have these jobs that work us. We don't work. They work us.
Absolutely.
I worked 50, 60, 70 hours a week. I am a retired court reporter after 34 years. And after retirement, I said, my next job is going to be to work on myself, to be the healthiest version of myself. And
Yes.
that's what I committed to doing right before COVID. So I turned 60 years old, June 4th. I just celebrated a birthday. I feel better than I have ever health, I feel phenomenal. I get up, I walk 3 miles a day. That's how I start my day. I drink 4 glasses of water. That's how I start my day.
Wow.
I get regular massages on a regular basis. I go to the Caribbean probably about 4 or 5 times a year. I do the things that I want to do because I'm focused on me, prioritizing me, being selfish in a self-full way, not in a selfish way. Selfish is not a bad word. When
Right.
we pour into ourselves, then we're pouring from a full cup, and then we can pour into others. I am an ordained clergy. I graduated with a master's degree from Princeton Theological Seminary. I've pastored a church. I'm a servant leader. But right now, in this particular stage of my life, I must care for myself. I must be the best version of myself.
And that's really important. Thank you for sharing that background because many times you're right. We do everything for everybody else. We're not always taking good care of ourselves. We're not walking. We're not eating right. We're not drinking enough water. I mean, it's just so many different things that we don't do. And the fact that you realized that you needed to make a change and took the time to make that change, and I love that you advocated for your own well being because that's a big thing with us as Black women. Oftentimes we just go to the doctors and they don't want to listen to us, or, maybe we don't know what questions to ask. And sometimes we may just accept something that really isn't what we should be doing. But I love the fact that you took control in that regard and was to say, hey, I know I need to do something different. I need to try something different. Let me do this before you put me on these medications that I'm going to have to be on for the rest of my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I learned so much. I learned so much listening to these doctors who were at the forefront of this. Western medicine, we focus on symptoms and we treat symptoms, right? Mm-hmm. But in Eastern medicine, they focus more on prevention and they want to address the root cause. So the medications that I was given, it was not addressing the root cause of what my issue was. The root cause that I wasn't putting the right things in my body. The root cause I wasn't getting enough sleep. The root cause I was allowing stress to rule my life. I was pushing things. I was pushing myself and my body too much. I mean, I just learned so much. And with that knowledge, I wanted to share it. With that knowledge, I wanted to create a space for us as Black women to come together and heal. There's something so very special about being in community.
Yes.
Something so special about receiving the support from your sisters, the love, the guidance. So I wanted to create that space. And that's what I am doing, Marcie. That's what I'm doing.
Yes, I mean, you're doing it in a multitude of ways. Well, we're going to get into the documentary here in a few moments, but I want to know because you actually work with women as a coach.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that you do in your coaching practice?
So I started an organization called Sister Soul Nutrition. And this was after our first girlfriend getaway retreat. 2021, I took 100 women to the island of St. Martin. I had been going to visit during COVID. During COVID, it was a very inexpensive time to travel.
Right.
Right. The flights were very inexpensive. You can get rooms, 5-star hotels at discount prices. And we didn't know then that COVID cannot spread outside. It's very difficult for it to spread outside.
Okay.
So at the beginning of COVID, the Caribbean islands, the Caribbean, they were not having very high numbers. So I said, that's where I want to be. So I spent a lot of time there. And then I got an epiphany that I wanted to bring my family. I wanted to bring my friends. I wanted to bring the associates. So I put together a girlfriend getaway and we brought 100 women there. We brought speakers and teachers and exercise enthusiasts. And we just focused on getting healthy, being the best versions of ourselves. I find oftentimes as Black women, we don't invest in ourselves. We will give to a cause. We will give to someone. We will help someone. We have hearts that are just wonderful and golden. But that same energy we have to pour into ourselves. And I find that my family, my sister friends, we don't do that. So I wanted to have an event to say it's okay. It's fine to pour into yourself. So we had the first one in 2021, and then we went back to St. Martin 2022, and we are headed to the island of Jamaica in 2023.
Okay. Well, that really sounds good. So the conference actually came before the coaching that you were doing, in other words.
It did. It did. The conference came first, and then born from the conference was Sister Soul Nutrition.
Gotcha.
With Sister Soul Nutrition, I would meet with probably a dozen women twice a week, and we would talk about wellness. We would talk about, they were examined and they had their blood work done, and they were examined virtually by one of our doctors that were a part of the program. Our nurse practitioner stayed on top of things and was a part of all of our meetings, our fitness instructor. So they learned the tools to get well. And sometimes if we have very stressful jobs, sometimes we have to take a moment to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to take that leave of absence. Maybe I need to take that family medical leave for a month, 2 months, whatever it is that you can afford to do. Some people say, I can't afford to take off. I must work. You can't afford not to take off.
Right.
Because if you're not operating 100% capacity in your body, health-wise, then the damage is going to be done, and it's going to shorten your lifespan.
Right.
So when we change our habits, when we focus on wellness and all of that, what that entails, which you've been at this work a long time, that it entails body, soul, and spirit. Once your inside is feeling good,
right,
you're going to emanate on the outside. Once your spirit is feeling full and it's feeling fed, it's going to emanate on the outside. So I wanted to encourage women to invest in themselves, right. and they're doing that. And the transformations there, I have some testimonies that are just phenomenal, and they are part of our upcoming documentary.
Yes. And well, I guess we can, along that line, we can share the video or the trailer of the upcoming documentary in a moment. But just tell us a little bit about more of why you decided to do a documentary, and kind of where you are with that right now, and when we can look to see it publicly, because that's a pretty big endeavor to take on.
It is huge. I look at it as a calling. I'm not a filmmaker. I didn't say I wake up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a documentary. I am a servant leader. I am a minister. And I wanted to share this life-saving information with other Black women, with other men, with other human beings. The reality is that one of our doctors, I went to a conference called Physicians for oh my goodness. Of course, I went to a conference filled with physicians that use plants as medicine, but they are medical doctors. And one of our doctors that I heard, Dr. Kim Williams, he was being awarded an award at a Friday night function. And he said the statistic. He said that 40% of African Americans by the year 2050 will die of chronic disease. 40% of African Americans will die because of chronic disease. And this is something that can be prevented by lifestyle. It can be prevented by knowledge. There's a couple of documentaries that are out there. There's one that's called They're Trying to Kill Us, which young people have taken up the baton, and they are sharing this information. And of course, there's Forks Over Knives. There's a couple of shows that's out there, documentaries that show, but there is not one that focuses on Black women. There's not one. We are the canary in the mines. We are the ones that are sounding the alarms, and we are the ones that control the pots in our household. So right. start cooking and preparing food, either you're going to eat the food what's up in here, or you're going to go out somewhere and eat. And the way that food prices are working right now, I think most folks will stay home and eat. So sometimes it's just a simple adjustment in the menu, and food can be flavorful.
Mm-hmm.
Plants are good. I mean, they are good nutrition, and it can taste good. It can taste flavorful. So we teach that in Sister Soul Nutrition. We do meal prep. You know, I'm actually working with a very, he's a pretty well-known DJ. I'm not sure who, but he's, you know, he's been celebrated at BET for 50 years of hip hop, and he has really uncontrolled diabetes. I'm coaching him and working with him. I have someone that's doing meal prep and providing food for him for the week. And I spoke to him today, and he goes to the doctor every 2 weeks. He said his blood sugar was reduced at least 50%.
Wow.
50%. I mean, his numbers were such where it was not good. His A1C was about 14, 15 A1C. And that's something you can go into a diabetic coma. It's high numbers. So he is doing much better. And I'm just really proud of that. So I'm hoping that the next documentary is going to be about Black men.
Black men. Yes, I mean, it is something, because we know that, you know, we have all these different documentaries come out, but because they aren't specifically talking about the ways that things impact us in our community, the information is good, but you kind of have to, pardon the pun, take it with a grain of salt because it really, some things don't apply. Because even as you were talking, and, you know, I've seen the clip that we're going to show here in a few moments, I'm thinking about sometimes in our community, like food insecurity, for example, or food deserts. You know, those are things that maybe other people aren't thinking about, but when we're trying to
trust our doctors,
right?
Oftentimes, Black men, they may not go to the doctor.
Right.
They don't go get that prostate check.
Right.
They don't go and get those checkups because they don't trust the physicians.
Right.
So I tell the women that I coach, get you a doctor, get you a medical professional that looks like you, because there's something about the culture that is going to, you know, look at Sabina, you know, the doctors didn't believe her when she was telling them that there was something wrong. And she's a big tennis star. So they're not going to believe her. Are they going to believe you and I? So we have to take care of ourselves so we don't have to go to the doctor, or we just go for maintenance and we go for our yearly checkups.
Right. That's really important. Well, we've been talking it up. Just everybody bear with me for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and removing some of these banners so we can make sure we don't miss any important information as I queue up this video so we can see the trailer of this wonderful documentary that Jacqueline and her team are working on. So give me just a second here.
There are more women who die from heart disease than men, and more Black women die from heart disease than any other group.
48% increases in diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and high cholesterol. Those led to heart attack, stroke, and heart failure deaths.
Is loaded with sugar, salt, and fat. And those are the three components of many of the chronic diseases that you struggle with.
You can really show who is getting the most marketing to the worst foods based on one thing alone, and that's their zip code.
20 McNuggets for only $4.99?
We are just perpetuating epidemics of disease. We're perpetuating racial disparities that should not be there.
When I was eating high fatty meats, the doctor told me that you have diabetes for the rest of your life. I did not want to live with this diagnosis. That's when, you know, my numbers started changing. That's when I started changing.
Take stock in what you're nourishing yourself with. Plant foods are the optimal nutrition for human beings.
I'll be 72 years old in 2 days. I have not had animal flesh in my mouth since 1990.
This is a mission that I have to spread this news.
You all think you came here to sit in the sun and to party and to know what you came here for was to learn how to elongate your lives 10 to 15 to 20 years.
I know just as sure as I was diagnosed with diabetes, it could be something else if I allow this thing to continue to go.
How are you?
So I committed to working with her one-on-one.
How has the change been since July?
Honey, I'll be pushing through.
All right, that is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so important. So important. So, how does it feel? I know you've seen that multiple times and there's still some work that you're doing, but how does it feel every time you get a chance to see what you created thus far?
It feels wonderful. So the woman you saw in the documentary is Miss Salters. I've been working with her since May of Memorial Day weekend of 2022. Miss Salters had been on high blood pressure medication for 30 years. She has lupus. She has uveitis, which was a deterioration of the eye. She was pretty much going blind. And she was just diagnosed with diabetes when she reached out to me. She wanted to come to the girlfriend getaway. I said, well, we can't wait until October to start working on your health. So we committed to working together, and she really was very compliant in doing the things that I asked her to do. 3 months later, less than 3 months, the doctors found no evidence of uveitis.
Wow.
Miss Salters is not on blood pressure medication. She is not on diabetes medication. She has lost 35 pounds and she is moving towards her best health. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, she buried her 42-year-old son, died of a massive heart attack at 42. Heart disease is real, and it's not just affecting older women or men, it's affecting younger people at astronomical rates.
Right, like LeBron James's son just had an episode just yesterday or the day before. So yes, it's not always about age.
It's not, but it is about what we put in our body, because we are more likely to develop heart disease. And I know that our documentary, it focuses on, 8 in 10 women, 8 in 10 African-American women are obese. But there's going to be a scene in the documentary. We have one of our speakers who's being interviewed. She's over 300 pounds. She has no chronic disease. Then I have a sister who's a size 6, and she's had multiple heart surgeries. She has diabetes. She's on all kind of medications. But so size is not always what matters, but what we put in our bodies and the type of lifestyle that we live is what matters.
Agreed. Because I'm just thinking, as you said that, Lizzo, for example, people talk about Lizzo because of the way that she looks and all of that, but I believe Lizzo is a vegan, and I've seen Lizzo, on social media working out and stuff like that, and there is no way you could perform in the way that she performs if you didn't have some level of physical fitness. But people go on appearance only and make a lot of assumptions because of her appearance.
Absolutely. So it's not about your weight. It's about being the healthiest version of yourself. Now, when you do go on a plant-based way of eating and lifestyle, you are naturally going to lose weight because plants, vegetables, they are not calorie dense.
Right.
They are nutrient dense. So I am not a vegan. I am not a vegetarian, but I will
ask you that.
80% I eat plant-based. I call myself a nutritarian.
Okay.
I try to eat food for nutritional value. So 80% of the time, I'm eating clean.
Okay.
I'm eating clean 80% of the time.
So by clean, for someone who doesn't know what that means, I mean like no fried foods, what things do you stay away from to classify your diet or your nutrition as clean?
So I stay away from processed foods. I greatly reduce my intake in meat.
Okay.
I get it that meat has the protein. The protein in the meat is because the meat eats the vegetation. So I shop around the perimeters of the supermarket. I stay in the produce aisle. When you see my cart, it's going to be loaded with produce because I want to get right to the foods that are nutritional. So when I say eat clean, I'm not eating foods if on the back of it, if it has ingredients that I cannot pronounce, and a lot of them that I cannot pronounce, that's not something that I should be eating. So I want to eat food that has one word: broccoli, potatoes, lettuce. They have one word to them, and they're produce, they're live food. So I found this vegan restaurant in Wilmington, Delaware. It's raw vegan. And I had a tuna salad, and the tuna was made with chickpeas. When I said it was the most delicious salad, and you would think it was tuna, but it was not. It was made of chickpeas. So, I'm learning that, food can be very tasty. Food can be delicious.
Absolutely. And 'cause I am not a vegan either, but I love vegan dishes whenever I get an opportunity. And I'm here in Atlanta. I may not have mentioned that earlier, but I'm in the Atlanta area. And not too long ago, I found a Black-owned restaurant. Actually, Tabitha Brown was in town a few months ago, and she went to this place called Chi, CHI, vegan, and they have vegan tacos. So I went there one day. Those tacos were so good, and they had like their elotes corn. That stuff was so good, you would never know. Because I tell people when they're like, "Oh, I couldn't eat vegan or whatever," I said a lot of times for us, I think it's texture, and we get used to eating certain textures, and they think that all you're eating is beans and rice and veggies if you are a vegan or plant-based. But a lot of times you can take other things and replicate the texture and then add the flavors, and you wouldn't know the difference.
Let me tell you something. They could do some things with mushroom. Woo! I mean, just it's just amazing how the food tastes. And yesterday I hosted some women over my house, and I made vegan spaghetti, and it had a vegan meat, and it had vegan sausage, and they did not know the difference.
Right.
And I had spinach pasta. So I put peppers and onions and garlic and all kinds of flavorful things that they said it was delicious. They did not know they weren't eating meat.
And the reality of it is, for a lot of us as Black people, in our history, we didn't necessarily eat a whole lot of meat anyway. Depending, especially for those who were working on farms and things like that, they were eating from the land. And, that's what we did. And maybe you might have had a little piece of, hog maw or salt pork or whatever that you threw in it to add a little flavor where you can get your hands on it. But by and large, you weren't eating like that anyway.
Well, they gave us the worst part of the meat,
the
worst part of the pig. And we made it delicacies from it. But we ate a high salt diet, our ancestors did. But remember, I don't know any one of my friends or family that are out there in the fields in the hot sun. It's been hot. Nobody's out there 12 hours working. We're inside. We're at computers. We're sitting. And they say sitting is the new smoking.
I believe it.
Because we are not getting movement. And we need to move. The body needs to move. And we're not doing that enough. And I get it. Some people, they can't move. They can't go outside and walk their neighborhoods. It may not be safe for them. Right. But they have I've seen YouTubes with people that are walking. You can walk in your house, you can step, you can go through a routine with someone via the computer. So we have to get moving. We have to, movement is medicine.
Right.
Just like food is medicine.
Right.
It's part of a healthy lifestyle.
Right. Now, one of the things, because you are a minister, that you also incorporate, it's not just the things we do in terms of our exercise or, making sure that we eat, differently, but also there's a spiritual component, there's a mental component to getting into, better shape. So in your conferences and in the work that you do, you also encourage women in those regards as well.
Absolutely. When we go away to St. Martin or Jamaica, the goal is transformation. The goal is transformation. The expectation is you're not going to come back home the same way that you came there. You can't be around the atmosphere of all of these positive women, all of these women that are just gung-ho and make changes. We cheer each other on. We stay in community after the conference. We get together and we're on Zoom. I think that one of the things that Black women are doing now is creating positive communities that we don't feel the big L, loneliness.
Right.
Because I think they've been showing it on the news that most people are isolated and feeling lonely, and it's contributing to depression. So we have to be there for one another. So a group like Girl Trek that I met you,
right,
we go around walking with groups of women. I'm part of a group called 40 Plus Double Dutch, where I jump rope once or twice a week. I jump double dutch and hula hoop and just dance and have fun. I just came today from a line dancing class. I wasn't doing very good at the two of the
wasn't to me a dance, was it?
Yeah, I wasn't doing very good, but you know what? I showed up. And as I keep showing up, I will get better and I will get the routine. But just the fact that there are women there that are showing up and that are showing me and having patience, it's all about community. And we get healthier being in community.
I definitely agree, because sometimes it's the thing of having someone who's going to nudge you or hold you accountable, or, like, hey, sis, did you get up and, go, did you walk today? Hey, let me come walk with you. Or, hey, girl, meet me over here at this class. That just makes a difference. And, as you said earlier on about the fact of just learning these things and then starting with ourselves, working in community with our sisters, but also incorporating those things into our family lifestyles as well, because it is so true. If mama ain't cooking, whatever that stuff is, then it's like you can't eat it. If you do, you're going to eat it outside of the house. You're not going to eat that stuff in the house. So it begins to have people start to make changes and adjustments. So all of it is just so important and powerful.
It is, absolutely.
So tell us, we've mentioned the conference multiple times, but tell us a little bit about what the next conference is going to be. I know I do have the Girlfriend Getaway listed there, but just tell us a little bit about what's happening with the conference this year.
So this year we're going to have a smaller group because we are going to film the conference this year. We're going to add the celebration scenes to the documentary that's going to close out our documentary. We have the Harvey sisters, Steve Harvey's eldest sisters, that are our speakers. So Brandy is the closer. She's going to close us out, always inspire us. And Carly is she's been licensed as, what do you want to call it, a sex counselor.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about some things behind closed doors that are not going to be videotaped. We're going to talk about our sexual health, which we don't talk about that. In churches, we act like we're not there. No one's doing anything.
Right.
Folks are doing something. We just don't talk about it.
Right.
So when you get over 50 and you're 60, the body changes. It doesn't mean that you have to stop everything, but you have to make some adjustments. You have to get some lubrication. You have to, know the things how your body is changing.
Absolutely.
Adjustment. So this year we're going to have a smaller, more intimate setting, and we're going to have fun. We're going to film, and it's going to be transformative as it always is. It's just going to be on a smaller scale.
Okay. Okay. And what are the dates of the conference?
October 14th through 18th.
Okay. And are there still spaces available?
10. I think we have 10 when I last checked. We have
All
10.
right, about 10 spaces available. So you ladies who are watching, some may be watching in a replay, 'cause I think YouTube was acting a little strange today, but it'll be there for those who might want to watch later. But just go to the website. The particular one for the conference is thegirlfriendgetaway.com. It is scrolling, so you'll see it. Here it comes now. So just go there to get more information. And you did say it's in Jamaica this time?
It is in Jamaica, absolutely.
Okay.
I think I'm going to finish answering a question you asked me about the documentary.
Yes.
So we've been working on it for about a year. We have an extended sizzle reel that's about 16 minutes. We're looking to finish filming and editing by the end of the year. And we're looking for it to go on a streaming service during Black History Month or Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been having some very interesting meetings with production companies and, a few folks that are in the industry for many years. Everyone loves this movie. They just love it. They see the value in it. And some are looking to say, hey, stop doing anything. Don't put any money into it. We'll just take it as is and we're going to tweak it. I don't want it tweaked. I want to finish it because sometimes people can change what it is that you're doing. Right. And if they have an interest, they can take out some things that are very, very important. So we're going to finish the film and we will be prepared to distribute it ourselves if we have to. But I believe that someone is going to pick it up, one of the streaming services, and it'll be open to a very large group, a very large audience.
Right. And thank you for coming back to that question, because that is the advantage of doing the documentary, because we're going to just say if it's on Hulu and Netflix and if Oprah picks it up, whoever, all these different places that it can be, I'm thinking Amazon Prime or whatever, all the different places that it could potentially show up. That helps to get the message out to those who might not be able to come to a conference. Absolutely. And, even you as a coach, you can only work but with so many people at one time. So that is a way to help get the information out to those who may not have access for a variety of other reasons. And then, of course, I know you have resources and things like that that will be available to them if they want to continue the journey. But I really applaud you for doing that, because sometimes people just can't show up for one reason or another. But if you can give it to them in a way that's affordable, that, they can just, invite you into their homes and be able to watch and to learn and share with their families and things like that, I think that's very powerful. Kind of like with the authors that I talk to, books can go places that people can't go. In this same instance, your documentary can go places that you can't go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm excited. So I think Sister Soul Nutrition will be a way that women can work with us in groups. So we have 12 that we've been working with, but I'm pretty sure after the documentary, the numbers will go up exponentially. It'll go up and we'll be able to still work with the women on that platform. And we want to keep the cost very low so that they are not, everyone can't go to Jamaica. Everyone can't go to St. Martin. But if something is $30 to $40 a month, they can get on that. Excuse me. They can get on that.
Absolutely. I'll give you a second. It definitely is good to make things accessible, because I think sometimes we might not think about that, that everybody cannot, do X, Y, and Z. So it's good to have things that make it more accessible to others who really need it, because that's the thing. We all need it. And it's not about, your economic status or what neighborhood you live in and things like that, because there are people who need that information. So
1 second. Hi, I'm on a live interview. Can I give you a call back? Okay.
I'm gonna keep calling.
No, right? I said, well, let me answer this phone. He's like, oh, my bad. But see, that's the thing. The way that the doctor described on the documentary, your health is determined by your zip code.
Mm-hmm.
So if your zip code is in an area that they have Whole Foods, they have Trader Joe's, they have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, it's going to expand your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
If your zip code is one where there's a liquor store on every corner,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a fast food chain every half a block, it's going to determine your longevity. So yes, your longevity is determinative of your zip code, where you live.
Mm-hmm. And that's something. But everybody, please go right now. I can remember the name of the book. I interviewed a young lady a few months ago. The name of the book is Before the Street Lights Come On, and it is about environmental justice, but she talks about things exactly like this, because we think of environment, we just think of, global warming and all these other big terms that we hear that, some people believe in, some people don't. But when she talks about it from the perspective, remember how we were growing up and be like, you got to be in this house before the street lights come on. Yes. And she talks about things like the fact that we don't have food in certain neighborhoods, or the fact that certain people might be living in neighborhoods that are close to toxic waste dumps, all these sorts of things. So because of that, they don't have healthy food and all of that, and we know that there are people who are doing community gardens and things like that now, but sometimes that's not even possible. So just the more information that people can get, and that we can provide solutions and tools and resources to help them to be able to make those changes, is all for the better. So that's what the work that Jacqueline is doing is, helping in that regard.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's so important. I went to a supermarket years ago and they had no produce. I think they had onions, but they had no produce. And they had food that was all processed foods, and it was brands that I never heard of before. Mm-hmm. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone walking through the supermarket. But these supermarkets exist in poorer neighborhoods, and who's living in those neighborhoods? So it's real. Food insecurity is very real. I live in New Jersey, so it's called the Garden State. Mm-hmm. A lot of farmers and farms out here, so I'm able to have access to good food. When I see like a huge thing of beautiful collard greens, mm-hmm. I'm like salivating. I'm like, woo, this looks great. But you can go into some supermarkets and the collards are just wilted. Mm-hmm. Like they've just been through a battle.
Mm-hmm. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking about something else, is that with gentrification, which is a whole nother conversation, but how, yes, you might have the Whole Foods, but maybe the people can't afford it. And you might see some beautiful greens, but they're $6 a pound versus, so
it does cost more. And when the Whole Foods comes into a neighborhood, that neighborhood has arrived.
Right.
What they do is they outprice folks in that neighborhood. It's happened in New York, Manhattan, Harlem, Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. It's happening in Newark, New Jersey. It's starting to happen in Wilmington, Delaware. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is happening. And what they do is they come in, and you'll see a Starbucks, a bicycle lane, and a Whole Foods. Mm. And then the rents are going up so high that no one can afford to live in these spaces. So that's real.
It's real. It's real. So I do want to thank you so much for your time, Jacqueline. I know you're a very busy lady between, preparing for your conferences and all the other work that you're doing, working on this documentary, pulling, all of the rest of that together. You just do a lot. And there's some other stuff we didn't even get into because, I looked at your bio and so yeah. I will ask you real quickly, are you still doing some of the programs with young girls? Because I know.
Oh, so that's what okay. So we start Sunday.
Okay.
At the Well conferences. It's a leadership academy for girls of color at Princeton University. And we've been doing it since 2011. The nonprofit has been in existence in 2009. So this is our first time back on campus since COVID. We've been on a hiatus for 3 years. We were virtual because COVID didn't allow us to be on campus. So we start that on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work happening. We're putting the packets together. The counselors are coming in for training on Saturday. The teachers are ready and geared up. The girls are super excited, coming from all over the country. I think there's 4 young ladies coming from Omaha, Nebraska on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot going on, and that's where my focus is from July 30th until our closing ceremony, August 11th.
Okay, well, I'm glad I brought that up then, because to be honest with you, I think that's where I initially heard about you, even before we connected, because of Girl Trek. I did hear about those conferences that you're doing there at Princeton. So just real quickly, what kinds of lessons are the young ladies learning in there? So people, because I do have At the Well conferences listed, maybe people might be interested for next year's cohort.
So it is a summer enrichment program, and it is quite competitive to get into. What we do, the girls, they come from all over the country and sometimes outside of the country. The one thing that they have in common, they're all brilliant. They're smart. They're the only girl of color in their AP class, in their honors class, in their gifted and talented class. So oftentimes they can feel not really a part of, they can feel these microaggressions. So when they come into this space with these other Black girls that are all brilliant, all beautiful, it is something that feeds their soul. We have speakers that come through every day, and oftentimes the girls will find their career path based on the speakers that they encounter. So it is a life-changing, transformational conference. And the Girlfriend Getaway is just an extension of At the Well for grown women. It's just an extension, but we've been doing this work for quite some time with young girls. And I'm looking at my girls now, they're like 30 years old.
Wow.
28, 29. And they are carrying on this torch, and they're, living these lives. And they say, you know what, this program has impacted me in this way. It's caused me to look at, to go to this school, to choose your HBCU, or to go into this career. So we're doing some work with our young ladies, and I'm very proud of the work that we're doing.
Yes, I'm so glad. I'm so glad I remembered to ask about that, or to bring that up, because it is important. And I love the fact that, you're working with them, and you're working, with, us grown women as well. Because one of the things, even with Brown Girl Collective, over the years, the 14 years that it's been in existence, one of the things that I have done a lot is share historical information about Black women who are pioneers in different genres and things like that. And it's just amazing when you have more information. It expands your mind, it expands your horizons. Absolutely. And maybe, instead of thinking, oh, I can only do this, or I can only do that, or I can only go but this far, you can really look at the world and what the world has to offer. So I love that, you're doing that through this program that you have.
We enjoy it. One component, we take them to New York City to see a play.
Oh.
So we are going to see MJ, the musical.
Oh, yes.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go see it, but we have tickets, and we're going to take the train into New York City and go see the musical, and the girls will go shopping. Oftentimes it's the first time that they've been to New York, so it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. I know the first time I went, and I was good and grown when I went, and I was excited. So that's wonderful work. So thank you so much for your time, Jacqueline. I really do appreciate you. And, I did have some little technical difficulties. I believe in telling the truth, and you work with me through those technical difficulties. And for those on YouTube who I don't believe it's streaming, they're live, it will be up for you to watch later and be able to get in on this good stuff. So as always, all of Jacqueline's information is scrolling at the bottom. Ooh, that's the one thing that's wrong, but I will take that off. But everything else is right. The At the Well Inc., Sistahs at the Well, the websites, all of that. Please make sure that you follow her there to get more information and to know about all this glorious work that she is doing in support of us as Black women and our health, as well as, with helping young girls as well. So thank you so much for your time, Jacqueline. If you could just hold on for a quick second, I'll let you off the screen, but I do want to say goodbye to you, and as I say goodbye to everyone else. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, everyone. I was determined to get on because Jacqueline is so powerful and the work that she's doing is powerful as well. You know how sometimes we are dealing with technology and technology is not always our friend, but I'm so glad that we were able to do the interview this evening and really be able to dive into this important conversation about our health and wellness. So please, follow her and get more information about the upcoming conferences and all of that. Be on the lookout for that documentary to come out and all that. You know what, Jacqueline, if you got a second, I'm gonna bring you back real quick because there's something I neglected to ask. I'm sorry.
Sure, I'm here.
Is there any way that we can support you in getting the word out about the upcoming documentary? What can we do?
That's a great question. So if there is anyone who is a health professional, someone that is interested in being a part of the team, I invite you to send me an email. You can send me info at sistahsatthewell.com.
Okay, I'm gonna put it up for you at Sistahs
SISTAH Sistahs at the well.com. Just shoot me an email and I will let you know how you can be a part of the team, because once we start our marketing efforts, that's perfect. We want to get this out to everyone. We want to get it out to the churches. We want to get it out to the schools. We want to get it out to the communities. We want to get it out to families. We want to grow old together.
Yeah.
We want to live our healthiest lives, and we want to live long. We want to live well. So a lot of these autoimmune diseases, a lot of the chronic diseases, it goes back to what we put in our mouths. So we have to just be more mindful of what we're eating, learn to cook it so that it satisfies our palate.
Right.
Together and let's get healthy together.
All right. Thank you again. So everybody, y'all see that there, and the other places, the websites and all that, we're scrolling. So please make sure that you stay in touch. So thank you again, Jacqueline. And thank you to everyone who is here this evening watching live. And for those who get a chance to catch it in the replay, I do appreciate you and look forward to seeing you again real soon next week with more great information from a powerful Black woman who is dedicated to living well. So we look forward to seeing you again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.